that was the policy I proposed and Borrego agreed to.
Right.
Yeah. The idea was we had a situation where a truck showed up at midnight, pulled out, so that's what this is trying to
But I
prevent.
don't want to see 5 trucks sitting on Williams Road, waiting to get on the site. These people walk up and down their street, they've embraced it as a rural community, and they would like to have that benefit. Would you accept that there'll be, trucks will come on site as needed?
It
Which
should be
means,
the case. I mean, we don't intend to stage on Williams Road at all. That won't happen. You can make that a condition. But there might be 2 trucks unloading at a time. I think there's a long enough road that could happen.
on Moore Road, there were more than 2 at one time, sitting there waiting to get onto the site to unload. And one was sitting in a neighbor's driveway.
I can tell you it's typical for us to get 2 a day. So if you made that a condition, we can make that work.
And the
And we
other,
would even offer our town highway department to pull in, wait there, stage there, and you're, what is it, Dave, about 3 miles down the road? So it's close, so.
So we would not have more than 2 trucks at a time on site.
a lot of communication.
I offered it.
So okay, Trevor's laughing, I'm putting solar panels on his garage.
Dave's losing a lot of property.
I'm losing a lot of property this week.
The other thing that we talked about was lattice to be woven through the fences.
Yeah, and we talked about, there's 2 different kinds. There's the solid, and then there's the one that it's like garland.
Mark uses that high-tech term fuzzy.
It's fuzzy fence. It kind of looks like that, and from far away, it looks vegetated. So the choice is yours. We don't mind either one.
Well, if let's do this. Let's ask you if you're willing to do it, and then we'll follow up and we'll kind of ask the neighbors what they want. Because there's some neighbors here, okay? Can we do that? That you'd be willing to provide it, whether it's the brown or something that looks natural.
Positively, you gotta come up with what you want exactly, and we'll provide it, but let us know also the limits of where you want it.
Probably just the front.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the front, and maybe around the north corner a little bit for where it borders the Lowell property.
Tim,
That's fine.
the first solar project on Swan Road, the trees are outside the fence.
Correct.
The trees on Moore Road, are they outside or inside the fence?
They're both.
Both?
I was gonna pull the plan and see what was proposed, I didn't have time.
I'm not,
From an engineering point, it's usually outside the fence,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's usually outside the fence.
Because the best of my recollection, the planning board put no screening requirements on the one on Moore based on the location.
and the natural vegetation that was there.
I thought we did though.
But I don't recall that. As I told Bill, I pulled the plan, but I haven't had time to do it.
Yeah, I think we required screening, so, okay. John, anything?
I do have a couple of questions. People from Borrego, you've invested a significant amount of time and money into this project already, correct? And to your knowledge, the homeowner's invested quite a bit of his time to getting the site ready for this. Sort of in answer to people who live on Williams Road, if we attempted to include that project in the moratorium, anyone can sue anyone, but it wouldn't take a big legal genius to say if we stopped it abruptly for what they would consider a whim, I think we'd open the town up to significant liability through a lawsuit. And I'd like nothing better than to say, we'll hold it off for 6 months and see how everything shakes out, but it just can't happen with this project. The best we can do is what we're doing now, is to provide adequate screening for you. My experience with solar panel, industrial sites, utility grade, there's one along the thruway on the way to Rochester, Syracuse, up that way, and it's huge and it's ugly. And there's one on Grand Island now, that's right by the side of the road, and it's pretty ugly. But neither one of those has any screening.
None.
And I really believe in my heart that the screening will help you out a lot. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that you do this moratorium, and run till May, and if we need a little extension, I'm sure we'll be able to do it. But we'll go out and we'll see it with the trees planted, everything completed, no more trucks on site. And then we'll question the neighbors and we'll say, is this the most awful thing you ever had in your life? And if they say yes, then we'll take steps to to mitigate whatever the problems seem to be. But until I've seen one, personally, until I've seen one completed and see that screening up and how functional it is, I'm glad we're doing more for it.
Okay.
One last question I had, and I don't know if Tom or Grego, say ABC Solar Farms puts one up and 15 years down the road, they go broke, but we have the decommissioning bond. How much is the decommissioning bond worth? Does it, in 20 years, that solar system's ready to come out? And will the decommissioning bond cover the cost of that? Is that what it's for? I mean, totally, is that what you mean by
Yeah,
that?
that's what the decommissioning bond is for complete removal of project.
How do they set a value on that?
Well, we rely on our engineers to, as well as the proposals from the applicant, but together between the two of them and largely on GHD. With the other projects, we've relied on the town engineers to help establish
Okay.
the value of the decommissioning bond. The town code requires that bond be renewed every 5 years as well. So,
So if there's
So
an
that there
increase in
is
cost of living,
ultimately,
it can be adjusted.
well, it'd still be for the same amount, you know, the engineers are considering the cost in the future of removing it, but, they need to keep the bond going through the life of the project, is the
Well,
idea.
Let me touch base on that though. Let's say in 10 years, everything doubles in price and we realize that the bond doesn't cover it and they go to renew it. Can we make them increase that bond?
There's a provision in your code for review. The way the bond is established is you look at your current construction cost, and then there's an escalation put onto that, and then there's I'll call it a factor of safety put on that. And that, I think it's at the 20-year mark, is the dollars that's established for the bond. And there are opportunities every 5 years to review that, to make sure that the dollars are still appropriate. Most of your risk is not year one, not year two. Your risk is, you know, is farther down the road. So it's established on a future dollar amount.
And if I'm not mistaken, after 2 years after it's decommissioned, it could go back as farmland again. I think it was a 2-year wait before it could be put, I'm just trying to remember what I read. But so it's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, yeah, as soon as we decommission it, it can go back to farmland.
Okay.
And that's something we have to work out, you know, with the regulations for ag and markets, that's part of what we're gonna have to do for them.
So the land isn't lost forever, it's.
Correct.
That's something Rob, we should put in when we redo the law, that if it's decommissioned, they would have to go through a whole new application to put on the next generation. It would not be automatic. There will be a next generation of solar projects.
I mean, we try to establish a dollar amount that is so that it discourages them from just walking away. You know, there's resale value for them to reuse, repower, a variety of those things. Those dollars are not accounted for in the bond dollars that we establish. We look at it as if the town would have to go in and just remove it.
Okay.
We had asked the applicant to try to get a written statement from National Grid in regards to their future. Were you able to secure that?
We reached out to National Grid, they indicated they're willing to do that, but they haven't sent it to us yet.
Okay. Well, I'll get the information from you, because I'll follow up with National Grid as well.
But I just wanted to make sure she said it in the record that she had reached out.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think we should be, in consideration of our populations too, given the 6-month moratorium, it becomes apparent that there's huge amounts of grants and whatnot available that's all going to be lost because we're sticking to it and we won't close the moratorium a month early. I just think people like Borrego and the homeowners who are in consultation with other developers, it would behoove them to come forward and say, look, you know, we have this available funding and we're going to lose it because of your moratorium. We don't want anyone to lose money on this either, particularly the property owners. We like the Borrego, it's not our main concern. And at the same time, we want to protect the homeowners who are about this. We may think outside the box on this and come up with some adequate way of tighter than the neighbors, so it makes it more palatable to you. And we've read the stuff in the Association of Towns, Rob and I have Googled a lot of stuff. We looked at other people's solar law. You people are living next to a solar farm, if you come up with any ideas.
John, solar project, we're not gonna use that.
Solar project, sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
I have a question for Tim.
Yeah,
Tim, am I correct, no topsoil may be removed from the project site?
You are not correct.
All right, so how do we make it so that, do we put that as a stipulation? No
If
topsoil?
that's what you'd like.
I would
I
like.
mean, if the topsoil gets removed right now, if it goes belly up, they'd have to bring topsoil in to fill.
I'd rather see the topsoil stay on site.
That's not the way the law reads right now.
Question.
Yeah, I think Tim explained that the last time, that they allow for construction removal, so it wouldn't be a mining operation, it would
Right.
just be, if they had excess topsoil in during construction, and we allow that for apartment complexes, for anything else, they're allowed to remove the soil. Now, it wouldn't be digging a 20-foot pit, 500 by 1,000 feet, removing the
If someone
soil.
was unscrupulous, they could easily come through and take off the topsoil of the whole acreage, because you don't need the topsoil for the solar panels. I would be more comfortable with the topsoil remaining on property. Can we do it?
No problem.
Okay, yeah,
We have to adhere, ag and markets, you have to take, all the topsoil you take, you have to do it on site. On the Swan Road, we've done that. You can see at the north end, we have that, so we can bring it back and decommission it. We don't intend to take any topsoil off site.
okay, so we can add that to the motion, that no topsoil be removed from the site, okay.
Bill had a comment in there.
The only thing that I remember from the planning board was that Brengo mentioned that the only areas where they'd be removing topsoil is where they had their little, buildings or things like that. Not anywhere where the panels were, because there's no need.
Not at all.
That's a lot of extra work to move all that topsoil for no reason.
It's really just the road and where the equipment areas are.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That condition's already, it is already a condition under number 6, because that's a requirement of the agriculture markets guidelines,
Okay,
for agricultural mitigation of solar energy projects, so you don't need to actually add it as an additional
okay,
condition if you don't want to.
okay.
You could take a vote on the resolution relative to the site.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now, the local law on the moratorium on utility scale solar energy systems. I'll read this one for you.
I don't think you actually need to read the entirety of that law. It's already been read, the abstract's already been read, it's been made available multiple times. You can certainly read it, but I don't know,
Okay.
I don't think it's a legal requirement that you read the entirety of the law.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Oh, okay, roll call vote?
Well, yeah, after you will need a roll call vote
Okay.
after you vote.
So, go ahead.
Okay. Councilman Bax,
Aye.
Councilman Guyman,
Yes,
Councilman Jacoby,
Aye.
Councilman Morial.
Yes.
Supervisor Breyer.
Yes. Abstract. Councilman Morial.
November 14, 2019, I move to approve the regular extract of claims number 3034 to 3185 and recommend a payment in the amount of $109,992 plus a post audit of $29,538.62.
second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And approval on the minutes.
Move for approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting, October 28th.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Motion to approve the 2020 preliminary budget of November 7th, so moved.
Second, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Motion carried. Department head concerns. Chief Brevet?
On the agenda for Mr. Bax, is that the one item where I just wanted to do it now?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, real quick, I wanted to touch base on something that kind of falls under yours and it kind of falls under Dave's, is the highway superintendent installed stop signs at the corner of Northridge and Legacy. And just so everybody knows they're there, it's a three-way stop now. So with the development that's going in on Northridge and Legacy, we have put in a three-way stop, and we're kind of glad we did. I drove through it today, and it seems real effective and
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so.
Also, I did want to thank everyone that was involved in our grant contest for Shadow, our canine. He finished tied for 6th in the country, which that's against some pretty big departments. He was #1, finished #1 in the New England region, which is #1 obviously in New York State and some surrounding states. So I think that is fantastic, and I'd like to thank everybody who participated, everybody who voted and followed. It's, I think that, again, it speaks volumes to the area here when we have a town of this size and we outperform a city like Buffalo.
Thank you. So go ahead, you want to do that resignation now?
I have a letter here from Alexander Ruck. Dear Chief Previtt, I hereby resign my position as a town of Lewiston police officer effectively immediately. Thank you, Alexander Ruck. Make a motion that we accept Mr. Ruck's resignation, and I believe that that's, again, effective immediately.
Second. We have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
To Masters, anything?
I told you I report on the roofs for Fletcher and Intruder Park. We sent out about 10, 12 bids to different roofing companies and contractors. We got our first one back yesterday. We got 2 back late in the day today. So I did get 3, but I didn't have time to review the other 2. And I noticed the one from one of the companies had the wrong linear feet of board replacement on it, so I do need to have them correct that. But we did get 3 responses. I need to have them correct their bid on linear feet, and then I can have that for you next meeting.
Okay.
But we did get 3 back.
Thank you.
Is that all new decking? You got to tear it all off?
No.
Some new decking.
Some
But
just,
the one on Washuta, all the decking on the south side of the roof needs to be replaced. And then the one on Fletcher, it's just the board here and there.
and I don't know the square footage or anything, but it seems steep. Was it steep?
No,
No?
no. It's maybe a 4 to 5 12 pitch.
No, I don't mean that steep money. I thought the money was high.
Oh.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Well, you're a builder.
That's my answer, I guess.
John, do you know a couple firemen who can do that with you?
Well, I know people work.
Everything we do is steep. That's why I'm paying 500-some thousand for a police building, right? Everything we touch is steep here, the prevailing rate and everything else. so.
Don't speak too soon, we haven't engineered those roofs yet. But seriously, it did seem like a lot of money for, because I'm familiar with the pavilions, they don't seem that big. I hope the other 2 come in cheaper.
Is it something we would do in the spring, or does it matter?
It wouldn't matter. They could do it. They could blow break in the weather. It'd be a nice filler job for a roofing company, actually.
Right.
Jackie, you're on the agenda. Deputy Supervisor, anything?
The only thing is with the moratorium in place on the solar farms or solar systems, if we're gonna rewrite the law, I mean, 6 months is gonna go by rather quickly, and in the past, we've not taken action quick enough to actually have an effective changes in place, so I would just think we need a game plan, and again, obviously, I wanna be a part of that, but we should have a game plan on how to move forward and some, timing as far as benchmarks and such, so.
Well, we will be going to the Association of Towns in the spring, and I'm sure that will be an
In
issue.
the winter.
I'm sure that's going to be a topic, but the Association of Towns should be able to present us with a variety of sample laws that have been enacted in the last so many months, to see what's going on. But you're right, we have to move fast on it.
Thank you.
That's all.
Dave Train,
Nothing.
nothing? You survived Monday night?
Survive. Get leaves and brush picked up next week.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing when you drive down the road, you see snow with leaves blowing over the top of
Weirdest thing our residents call up.
it. Yeah, but you can't get them out of the tree. I mean, Tom, do you have anything other than the
Just those
executive
things
session?
to talk about in executive session.
Okay, Dave will give you a pass. Dan Zano. Fidel, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Anything?
Nope.
Nothing? Mike Dashnow.
I got some employee approvals for you on the dais there.
Okay. And also, we want to talk about the tent. You want to come on up?
Okay,
So who didn't survive the Monday night storm? Go ahead.
the tent barely survived the Monday night storm. With the sleet that came down to start, generally what happens when we get snow this time of year, we crank the heat up in the tent. Usually as soon as the snow hits the roof, it melts, slides right off. Of course, the heat wasn't hooked up this early, we just got the tent up, so the sleet kind of sat on top of the roof, and then ice piled at the top of it, a couple tons, we had a partial collapse of the tent. With that, the last couple days, been working to fix it and replace it. Luckily enough, we have access to repair parts, and we are gonna have to purchase it to bring in, and it's gonna set us back a couple days on it. I don't know what else to say, that is what it is.
So, Tom, in
Well,
regards to that,
So the question is, I guess, there's a number of questions. Number one is going to be what the cost of the repair is going to be, and how you're going to go about repairing it. Do we have an estimate as to the cost of repairs at all?
It's gonna be over $5,000.
less than 8.
Over 5 and less than 8. Do you have any actual proposals from anybody yet? Any written bids or not bids, but, you know,
Not yet.
purchase orders or anything like that?
Today, we just got the tent torn down, and once we got it down, we evaluated which parts were salvageable, which parts were not. So we're talking about just in the matter of the last couple hours determining what we've had. The tent that we do have is I want to say it's an obsolete tent, but the manufacturer no longer produces this tent. It's been replaced many years ago. So any parts that we get for it basically have to be either used or custom made, or old inventory type of things. The tent itself used to be a 40 by 80 foot. We've reduced it down to 40 by 60 over the years. As you know, the posts and everything kind of bend and become unusable. That's been our spare part pile since then. So we have to replace about 5 parts, either from a factory or from finding them from local tent shops or wherever. The biggest expense is going to be the canvas itself. Canvas is pretty standard. Any tent shop can make it for the most part. The timing is going to be the issue there. We're scheduled to open next Friday.
So, if I can interrupt you, if you're just talking about a purchase of parts, which is, it sounds like just a matter of parts, and the parts department can put it back together, right? So it's no services. If it's just a matter of purchase of parts, and you're talking about something between $5,000 and $10,000, or in this case capped at $8,000, what you'd require through your procurement policy is really just 3 written estimates, and then you'd be able to make your adjustment off to that. So it doesn't have to go out to public bid. Speaking with Mr. Dashnow earlier today, he indicated that there's only a couple places where you can obtain these parts in the country. So he may not even be able to get 3 possible bids. Also, the fact that this happened as an accident and, in a weather event raises the issue that it's potentially an emergency, which it probably is an emergency. So with those 2 things combined, I would suggest the board consider a motion to declare an emergency in this scenario and to allow for purchase of the replacement parts not to exceed $8,000, and then ask Mr. Dashnow to collect as many estimates as he can. But if he can't get to 3, at least you'll have the resolution in place that declares it an emergency and allows you to go through the procurement that way.
So move is so eloquently said by our attorney.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Do we need to look at Jackie and say, how are we gonna fund this?
My first thought is to take the money out of the remaining beach account for the ice rink, because that will stay above any estimated loss for this current year,
Okay.
where that funding comes from. To make
Okay.
a deficit.
Okay.
Just one question, if we're getting low on parts, you're not gonna go down to 40 by 40, I would think, so. Would it make sense for, if you do find somewhere to get parts, that maybe they get a few additional?
Right now, it's just getting, we could, because there's gonna be a long-term decision too, as well.
That's kind of the spot we're in too. We don't have a long-term commitment from the village for the ice rink even in the next year. So we're kind of stuck in a spot where the ice rink has basically funded itself since over its life with the help of the Greenway funds that started it. We haven't really budgeted for it at this point, so we kind of always operate under that budget. So we've never really planned anywhere too far into the future. Again, with it, and I've kind of made this argument in front of the village too, and said that, because there's uncertainty there, that really affects us in a lot of different ways. It affects us with sponsorships, it affects us with parts and labor. I'm kind of famous for buying some things in bulk that have sat around for a couple of years when I do get a good deal, so I do enjoy doing that. But there's not very much use for that tent outside of the ice rink. There's a lot of labor involved putting it up and down. The tent itself is, you call it a tent, but if you've ever been in there for the ice rink, it's a building with fabric walls. I mean, it's heavy duty, it's heated, it's all that. It's not something you would put up in a park for a small event or anything like that. But expensive, and again, because of the nature of that the company and the age of it, you have to get every part custom made unless you can find it used. So.
Okay, Jackie, what account's that, H?
49.
49, okay. So we have a motion and a second to be funded by H 49, correct? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, good luck.
And you have some of the first round of employees. Those are all our returners. Those are gonna help us get started whenever we can start. We're a few days behind on our schedule now. We still have some interviews to do to fill out the roster on that one, so that's a good start for us tonight. And there's also basketball on that sheet. Basketball's gonna be starting December 7th this year at Newport. We usually hire 4 or 5 the varsity or older kids there to pass the game on to the next generation of ball players.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'd like a motion for that too.
There you go.
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Finance.
I have 4 budget revisions I'm asking the board to approve. The first one is in the Justice or Courts Department, moving a total of $2,100 from the Justice contractual budget to the Justice equipment budget to cover various equipment purchases, taser and bulletproof vest.
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The second one is in the Parks Department, moving a total of $572 from Parks contractual budget to Parks equipment budget to cover the equipment purchase of a tiller.
I move for approval as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The third one is in the Highway Department, moving a total of $30,000 from the general repairs contractual budget to the machinery contractual budget to cover various repair expenses to equipment.
Move for approval as presented.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The fourth one is to move a total of $25,000 from the sewer treatment and disposal equipment budget, with $20,000 of that going to the sewer treatment and disposal contractual budget, to $2,500 of that going to the sewer administration equipment budget, and the remaining $2,500 going to the sewer administration contractual budget to cover various equipment and contractual expenses through the remainder of the year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I also have a quick update on our investments. The investments in U.S. Treasuries that we made on July 31st have matured on October 31st, and the town earned a total interest of $7,595 on the 31st. Our next scheduled investments will mature on January 30th in 2020 with an expected $20,000 interest.
And just to be clear, we've already reinvested those funds
Yep.
from October 31st.
We analyzed and evaluated our opportunity, and we've reinvested in 6-month U.S. Treasuries, and they will mature on April 30th.
And that's at a fixed rate, right? They give you a fixed.
That's at the U.S. Treasury rate, yes.
Jackie, did you check on the new bank in Buffalo for their rates?
I have not. We are using KeyBank, who is our banking people.
Is it, as low as they're offering, they're being quite generous compared to the other banks. Or
US
CDs and,
I will look. U.S. Treasuries
know
are
if we-
pretty much stated,
Yes, standard across the board.
yeah. But definitely we'll take a look.
That's good news, thank you. And the budget.
And the budget, yes. There's been one change in the preliminary budget, and that was to additional funding for the Lewiston Library, which was covered through an adjustment of revenue estimates. So the tax basis did not change at all. And with that said, tonight I ask the board to adopt the 2020 budget in front of you.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second, any questions?
Nice job.
Thank you.
Very good. All in
And
favor?
then do a roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote, sorry.
That's okay. Councilman Bax?
Aye.
Councilman Godwin?
yes,
Councilman Jacoby?
Yes.
Councilman Morial?
Yes.
Supervisor Breyer?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could I make a comment, if I could? I'd just like to thank the board in the budget, now that it's adopted. I just would like to let the public know that the board afforded the police department the luxury of having a traffic car, so that's the biggest complaints that we get. I want to encourage any residents, if you're having trouble, stop signs, speeding, whatever, call the department so we know we can focus that and target that with the board giving us that opportunity for 2020. So call us if you have those problems, and we'll try to address it with the traffic. But I want to thank the board for that as well.
Thank you, Joe.